Mark Robinson's running for governor, so he'll be vacating that seat. And it's always a very there are 6 people so far running for this office, and we try to have as many candidates on as we can, and it's always very much an honor and a pleasure when someone thinks enough of Moore County to take time out and come by and visit with us, but not with us, to visit with you and talk to you a little bit about the way they feel and why they're running and their background. And we'll try to get you a feel for them so that you can make a decision when the time comes. But let me say good morning first to our guests, and thank you so much for being here, Alan Mashburn.
Good morning to you. It's always a joy to come back to Moore County. Moore County's home to me.
Well, you know, a lot of people say that, but you actually did grow up in Moore County.
I actually did. Grew up in Carthage. That's where I lived all my life. Went away a little bit for college, moved right back, and I am in Montgomery County now, but that was the Lord's plan. But we've been in Moore County other than that.
Well, you know, not to bore people with this, but the other day we were talking, and I didn't know that you had grown up in the church that I go to now.
I did. For years, my family attended Summerhill Baptist Church in Carthage, and a number of men and women came out of there. A number of men entered the ministry. A number of men and women entered Christian education, as that was very hot in the 70s and 80s, and it's just been a fruitful work, and I have nothing but good memories from that place.
Alan, a lot of people have no idea. Frankly, 2 or 3 years ago, I didn't either. I did not know what the lieutenant governor actually did. Go over that a little bit for us.
Well, probably predominantly the thing that stands out constitutionally is the lieutenant governor is the president of the Senate. Now, the legislature a couple decades ago, well, a decade ago maybe or more, kind of gutted the role of the lieutenant governor in the Senate and his influence, but he still serves. They actually gave those jobs to the president pro tem, but he still serves as the president of the Senate, so he still has a great amount of influence. He's still able to craft or at least assist in crafting principled legislation. Additionally, he sits on a number of boards, and most notably is the State Board of Education, and that's a very hot topic to me. We'll get into that in just a moment. He also sits on the State Board of Community Colleges, which I think our community college system here in North Carolina is, many of them are great. There's always room for improvement. He also sits on the Economic Development Board, and he's chairman of the Energy Council. So just a multifaceted role.
Well, I believe one of the takeaways from Mark Robinson's time as a lieutenant governor was that can be very much personality driven. You don't really have a lot of really strong legislative rules that say you are absolutely in charge of this. It's by force of personality. And I think you and Mark are very strong in that event. And you're also the only members that I know of the government in North Carolina that's part of the legislative as well as the executive, exactly. Serving in both places. And of course you serve on the Council of State, which is hopefully under our new governor will have more the correct influence, the type of influence they're supposed to have, but don't under our current governor. At least that's my opinion. All right, let's just start with education now. You said it was very important to you. I'd like to talk about education because I think it's the hottest topic right now in Moore County. And we are, in Moore County, I think we're going to make some great strides. Alan, I need to tell you, if you do not know this, we've had some extremely controversial times in the last month and a half on our school board. I'm hoping that's all over, and I believe that they are all committed now to working towards the goal of educating children, and by that I mean teaching them to read and to do math. And I have great faith in every single member of our school board that that's where they're headed. But we know statewide and in our county we've got some things that we've got to worry about. Would you address that or anything else you want to in education?
Well, I want to say Moore County has been a leadership county as far as setting the bar, thinking about parental rights. They actually did something to that effect before the state legislature even introduced a bill called that. And I know everybody on the Moore County Board as well, and I've got great faith in them. I think the future looks bright. The devil is in the details, and what I mean by that is we live in a very saturated world by satanic influence. No matter where you are spiritually, I'm coming from a standpoint from a ministerial background, and so Satan loves to attack anything to do with the causes of right. Now, addressing in education, we have a problem in this state, all over, not just in this state, but we need to work on it. And that's something called the critical race theory. We have DEI. That's an infectious disease. We have an agenda being pushed. We have indoctrination rather than education. We have students that can't even read and write. I was just talking to a lady who is an employer she owns a restaurant in New Bern the other day, and she said, I have teenagers coming here wanting a job, and I have to write in print because they can't read cursive, and many of them can't read at all. So I call that a failure, and throwing money at a failing system. If I was in business doing that, I would be losing my shirt. So we would have to regroup because we would have to stop failing. So we have to stop failing in that. And that's a multifaceted thing, all the way up to higher education. It's just astounding what we continually want to throw money at. And I think that's what makes us different when we think of someone who's wanting to run for office. If you'll go back and check all of the problems that we've had in the last 50 years politically in this nation, it all traces back to one common thread, and that is a career politician. They get in and they forget us, the normal people, and we've allowed this to go on. And I'll be honest with you, we the people are fed up. And we have got to be more involved. It tickles me to death to see parents get more involved in their local school board, because if you do not, you will lose control. You are parents. We don't co-parent with anyone.
Well, you use the term career politician. My wife and I usually would try to steal these things from her without her getting credit for it, but I've learned since then, in the 8 months, not to do that. But she loves the term, and I love it too, citizen statesman. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of folks I think that we need. Alan is a pastor, and I was very relieved to hear him, when he sat down, not say the following phrase. He did not say, I will keep my remarks short, because if you hear a pastor say that, you might as well just get your pillow ready and get comfortable, because Alan, am I telling the truth on that?
Yeah, pull off your watch and get a calendar.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, but I do want to hear you talk some about this. We've talked on here before, and I do believe strongly that this is a Christian nation. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up with you is because you've so far in our chat, you've talked about Christianity and the Lord several times, and I'm glad to hear that. Now, a lot of people aren't. It surprises me, and I'm going to ask you to comment on this. I'm so surprised when I start doing my research and finding out how many people in this county not just are not Christians or claim not to be Christians, but they also are so anti-Christianity and just downright mean and hate it when you say anything at all about our Lord. And one more thing, Alan, before you comment. We know, I'd like folks to Google this, but that China has such a great influence on our nation, is rewriting the Bible. They are rewriting the Bible and the Ten Commandments. So what I'd like to hear you speak to is, do you think that politics are being more and more adverse towards Christianity, or do you see some hope for us?
I see hope for us on our side. When you look at the political spectrum of America today, and this includes North Carolina, it's no secret you have the left and you have the right. The right still embraces God, even though they may not exude Him in their daily lives. They still have a concept of morality. They still have a moral compass. Many of Americans on the left have lost that moral compass, and when you do that, there's really no boundary. You have no boundary for what's right, what's wrong. You get to pick and choose. That's why we're in a postmodernistic world, and everybody becomes their own God, and everybody has their own truth. Case in point, the same people who are telling us about the UFOs are the same people that want us to believe that men can get pregnant. So, yeah, you can understand why I have a trust issue there. But the point is, yes, I do see light on the side of the tunnel, on our end of the tunnel, when you think about conservatives. We have got to get a backbone and to stand up and be who we are. We've got to be vocal. Yes, the left does hate us. Yes, they are coming out and they're anti-Christian, but you cannot separate the two. We are in spiritual warfare. Everything they do exudes evil. When they think that you ought to call for an abortion up to birth, even after birth, that is considered nothing but evil. I believe abortion is evil, period. But they are even willing to go even up to and after birth. It's just horrendous. We've got to raise the level of righteousness in this land. And I think it doesn't take a politician. What it takes is average Americans. I love what you just said, citizen statesmen. Our forefathers never meant for anyone to get into office and make it a career. They believe that we should go, live our lives, work, and they believe that we should go and answer the call for national service, state service, do that and come back and live our lives. Make our mark on society, look for the next generation, not the next election.
All right. Well, another big topic of conversation in Moore County is property rights. And it rears itself in a lot of different ways. Everything from some unelected bureaucrat telling a man and a lady that they cannot have a fence over a certain height or can't have their kitchen remodeled unless some 2 or 3 or 4 people come out and inspect it. I don't know how well versed you are in the ETJ, the extraterritorial jurisdiction, but property rights are a basic human right, and they're a constitutional right. And I believe that any conservative would be on the side of property rights. Now, you may disagree with that, so let me ask you to comment.
No, I believe property rights is exactly what you just said. I believe that they're ingrained in our Constitution. I believe they're natural rights. I'm not going to allow anybody to tell me what I can do on my land if I can help it. And if there's something in the books that says that I am being forced, then I think that's a trigger for me to run for office.
Let's kind of switch topics here for a minute. Another very important thing to us, and one that our current Lieutenant Governor is very strong on, and that is law enforcement.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
You know, our law enforcement, and I've been criticized for this. Believe it or not, there are people out there who blame law enforcement. Let me tell you something. Law enforcement may not be perfect. None of us are. There are problems within every shred of government. But to not have law enforcement is completely stupid, and we must never get to the point that we buy into the concept, the fact that we ever want to defund the police. No, you do that, you're going to look like Chicago. You're going to have. I like to say this, and I'm working on an article for, I think, the Washington Examiner now, and I'm saying, do not California my Carolina. Do not California my Carolina. I don't want to see what's happening over there by their idiocy of defunding the police and seeing crime rates go completely through the roof. They will, if that ever happens. We can never let that happen. That is completely idiocy, and I, as a lieutenant governor, will never stand for that. Let me say this. We'll always support our law enforcement. Always.
The Board of Community Colleges. Now, frankly, I have very little knowledge of the way the community colleges operate, the problems they may have, the things that you may need to address as the president of the legislature. Senate, I should say. So, what are some of their problems? What do we need to address? It's my overall feeling that they're doing a pretty good job.
Well, they are doing a good job in areas. I was recently down at, and by the way, we've reached out to our local here, your local community college. We have not gotten a call back to do a visit. I hope they listen to that and reach out to us. But I was recently down at Cape Fear Community College, and they're doing great things down there that I think could be mimicked throughout the entire state. They talk with business leaders. They talk with business leaders in the area. And whatever they need, say they need welders. And by the way, I was a welder for 12 years, so I know what hot work is. I know what hard work is. If they need welders or if they need HVAC guys, they adhere a program to the community, and they start training and putting that out. The community colleges are doing a fabulous work in this area because they're keeping the trades alive, and they're just multiplying that and keeping it going. America was built not by the white-collar people in Washington. America was built by the blue-collar people and the denim bib overhauls farmers that built this country, and we have got to furnish that and nurture that. And the community colleges, they're doing a great job in that area. Many of them are.
Well, you know, Alan, I say this to every single politician who comes on here, and I know that you were probably angry with me that I would even call you a politician, but you were by definition at the moment a politician. So I always ask, we see you guys during election time, and then we never see you again until the next election time. So I always try to get your word that you will come back on this radio, and if you can't make it down, come on by telephone and talk to the people of Moore County. Moore County has some very, very real concerns that involve our legislature, and we always have people who have questions and want to talk to you.
Absolutely. You know, I only live around 45 minutes away. That's where my office is, so I can shoot down here, and it'd be an honor to do that. Let me address the politician label just a moment. I do detest that. And in the next 30 seconds, let me just tell you why I came to this decision. I am a pastor. I am a father. I have children all the way ages from 19 to age 4. I could not sit around and not do nothing, thinking that their future was just shriveling away in this country and in this state. And we see the infatuation from the left and the DEI, the CRT, the SEL, the ESG. We see all of that, the three-letter acronyms, and every bit of it is just completely evil. I see it for what it is. And I've never had an appetite for politics before, still don't have an appetite for it, but I have a backbone and I have a mind. I have a mind to work, and I want to see the future for our children sustained and improved and prolonged and left a legacy for them. I am sick and tired of people looking out for their own interests. I'm sick and tired of career politicians. I want to see our country thrive.
Well, you know, Alan, I've got a text question for you, but first I want to say to you, you know, I've met at least your son and daughter, who I believe are probably your oldest two, son and daughter. Mm-hmm. And my goodness, I was so impressed with them. I didn't know they were your kids, and those two are amazing. And you said something about there might be your secret weapon, and your daughter handed out is doing such a good. They are your allies. I'd love to have them working for me if I were running for office.
I'll tell them that.
I've got the question here. The lady who sent this in is not my wife, but she is a great American, a great conservative. And I love her and I love her husband. She wants to hear you talk about your heartfelt feelings about the Second Amendment.
I'm telling you, the Second Amendment is not only so much under attack, but it is so precious to us as a country. It is what sets us apart as a republic. It's what sets us apart as a people. It gives us that ability to be independent, that the government can actually fear the populace. And if we lose that, then the fabric of our nation will be forever changed for the worse. We will look like a third world country. We will bypass socialism completely and get straight to communism. We can never, ever lose the Second Amendment. And I'm going to say we can't ever lose the First Amendment either, because that's the very first thing to go That's exactly what Hitler did. He did away with free speech. They collected all the weapons, and history does repeat itself, but we can never allow it to repeat itself. We are fully committed to standing on our Second Amendment rights. I will never tell you how many guns I got, but I can tell you this, you're never going to find them all, because I believe that every American should have the right to bear arms and to protect themselves. It is ingrained in our Constitution, and thank God it's ingrained in our DNA. It is always going to be there.
Well, I can tell you exactly how many I have. Enough. But let me, because there are so many people out there with their little legal pads just looking for something ill to write of us. We're not advocating anything illegal,
no,
Alan. We're talking about totally legal, and that's why we do have these. Let me. Someone wrote in here and said the government can, and they should, fear the people. They should fear the people.
They should, because they are employed by us. They are employed by us. We pay their salaries. We vote many of them in. Sadly, we don't vote many of them in who are in the intricate part of government, but they should fear us.
You know, Alan, we're talking about citizen statesmen. And by the way, we are talking to Alan Mashburn. He's running for lieutenant governor. We've just got about 3 minutes left. But is there anything, Alan, you want to say to us that I have not given you the time to say, and I want to open that up to you?
Well, you know, I get asked all the time, why am I running? I shared a little bit of that just a moment ago. And then I get asked a lot, well, what makes you different? Well, for one thing, I'm not seeking a separate career or a new career. I'm just wanting to strengthen what is remaining in our country. I want to build up that foundation. I want to continue on that. I want to see something left, a legacy for our children. We have got to do that. And then secondly, in the general, I'm going to be facing Rachel Hunt. And I think it's pretty well solidified that the Democrat nominee for governor is going to be Josh Stein. Can you imagine a Josh Stein and a Rachel Hunt in office? They will literally be the Gavin Newsom and the Kamala Harris of the East Coast. And we can never allow that to happen. We have got to keep this state red. We've got to keep this state conservative. We've got to keep this state strong on the Second Amendment. Our future depends on it.
You are so right. And Josh Stein is not just a person who speaks those things. He believes them, and he will actively seek them out without being pushed. So we've got to have a good attorney general too.
Absolutely. Most necessary.
So, well, our guest has been Alan Mashburn. Alan, it's always a pleasure to see you. How do people get a hold of you if they want to give you some money?
Our website is www.allen4nc.com. It's ALLEN for NC.com. www.allen4nc.com. Go there. You'll have all our information. You can reach out to us, send us an email. It'll get to me. I'll be glad to come and speak at any event. We have been very fortunate. We have not had to call and beg to go anywhere. God has opened doors, and we want to continue walking through them.
All right. Well, it's always a great pleasure having you with us, and hope you'll come back. Thanks a lot, Alan. We'll see you again.
Absolute honor. I'm looking forward to it.
You know, you were talking about, you wouldn't be able to find all your weapons. My problem is I can't find enough cold, dead hands for them to pry them out of.
Well, you're right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Alan, for coming in. And as always, thank you, John. And so it goes for this Tuesday. Have yourself a great, safe day. We'll see you back bright and early tomorrow, 7 to 9, for a Hump Day Wednesday with the Leader Man. Until then, be sure to support all the mom and pop businesses you hear on our airways, because they're the backbone of our economy here. They're treat you the best, and they're the backbone. By that, I mean your money stays here when you give them first crack at your spending dollars. And you can be part of that backbone, too, by calling us here at WEEB, and let us show you how effective talk radio is. It's the most effective form of advertising that you can get. All right, that's it for me, and Colt and Nick the dogs and the Leader Man will all see you this afternoon at the dog park.